him. And if you feel that, well, he's an African American, all such things could just go to places. I continue to be myself. And I remember that somebody was talking about when any individual does not know his identity, that person will be free to act as anybody. So I don't know before I leave, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I was trying to respond before we ended that session in the morning, but unfortunately the student that asked the question is not here. But notwithstanding, I think I can still say some things on it. He was actually worried that as an African American, is it compulsory for him to imbibe African value system? Then I was trying to tell him that, well, it may not be compulsory. That's where Prof said he was not actually fully satisfied. That since he belongs to a particular system here, that it will be compulsory for him to imbibe the value system of his own community to where he properly belongs. But since he's an African American, he has parents. The parents belong to Africa. And since the parents belong to Africa, the starting point will be for the parents to start to inculcate the value system of the Africans, to which it was very familiar to the children. So by the time the children saw what the parents are doing, they will see that, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm not supposed to imbibe the culture of these people, which is contrary to the one which my parents have taught me. So in view of that, the children grow up with the value system to which they are familiar, which is totally contrary. They are different from the new ones. In Africa, for instance, we have some values placed on the children. You know, for every home, if every home is peaceful, the community will be peaceful. If every home is peaceful, the church will be peaceful. So it depends on the parents. And if the children are not imbibing the value system the parents taught them or are teaching them, then it will be very difficult for them to talk about imbibing African value system. There are some things in Africa, there are no go area. You dare not do that. But in America here, you are free to do whatever you want. So once you know that in Africa, to which I actually belong, these are no-go areas. You dare not go there, despite the fact that you are not there. So that is the only addition I want to actually add. But I think a Prof can assist in adding some other things. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. That's fine. Maybe I just want to fine-tune it.
Okay.
I know that we are very familiar with societies that we belong, but there's something that may catch our fancy, and it will be a very good way of illustrating this the answer to the question. When you see a Chinese, right? When you see a Chinese, he doesn't have to introduce himself as a Chinese. You know that he's a Chinese. When you see an Indian, he doesn't have to introduce himself as an Indian. You know that he's an Indian. If you go to the community where those Indians are or the Chinese are, not necessarily in China or in India, even in America, there is a set of culture that belongs to them, and you can identify this there. And that is why, for example, of course, you may want to take an Indian lady for a wife or something, but that Indian lady may not necessarily accept you until she's sure that you will not make her to derail from her culture and practice. So what stops the African American to also look in that direction and say, well, what makes me an African first? What are those values that are typically African? In other words, you are there, and if you now have the values that are essentially African, part of what I was saying yesterday, you know how, the way you are brought up, how we have value for family system, how we even practice extended family. In other words, you are your brother's keeper, you are your sister's keeper. You are together. Then what happens to A also affects B. Therefore, the spirit of communalism, which we have lost to capitalism. Yes, because when you talk of communalistic, you live as a community. Every child is everybody's child within that community. If that child is, any elder around has every right to correct that child. That is that. And so many other things like that. And then the child is brought up in a way that he or she knows that she's not alone. And that there are, and then you talk of name. You do not want to do anything that will smear your name, because if you do, you will be stigmatized and you may suffer for it. As a matter of fact, you will not get anybody to marry you within that community. Why? Because you have shamed the name of your family and nobody wants to identify with that. It's part of the deterrent laws. So it may be harsh, it may be whatever. And so, when you know those values and you keep it, for instance, as a child, as a girl child, you do not mess around with boys of your age. You do not have premarital sex. I mean, this may sound local and conservative and not modern, but I'm saying these are values, that Africans cherish so much. And why? Because it's a pride. When your parents hand you over to your husband, and your husband makes you clean, and therefore you become proud of yourself, and you make your parents very proud. Because anybody outside of that, it is believed that the parents have failed. For that child to have been defiled before, he or she gets married. So we're not going to say because I'm in America. And the way they go about it is that, look, sex is just a game. And therefore, you play your game and or that kind of thing. And you think in the name of modernity or in the name of globalization, you veer off the track of that culture or that values. So it becomes something else. So we are saying that it is true that we talk of globalization. We can also talk of localization, even within that global entity, so that you still retain your identity without losing it, regardless of that globalization. So that's the way I want to say.
Thank you, sir. To finish this up, because we're about an hour too far. Thanks. I'm sorry.
American culture is very much the extended family. Many of us grew up with those African values, but we didn't know that they were African values, just part of African American values, not knowing that they came over from the motherland. I come from an extended family, and I didn't learn until later that was actually a carryover from the African custom. I sort of had the impression that it was a carryover in the enslaved system, where we had this communal, but it's African tradition, and the same aspects of virtues, and they're very much in the African American culture. So I don't know if the student, I'm sure, aware of African American culture, but he might not, or she might not have been aware that they were indeed carried over from Africa. But these are very much in our community as well.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, just to add on to that, that at least from my experiences in my generation, I think for African Americans, and correct me if I'm wrong, in trying to seek out what it means to be African and American, when people that aren't, when people do not have enough access or someone that they can have access to, the information they find is on ritual and not on African values. So they find out what African dress looks like, they find out what a walking stick looks like, they find out what the hairstyles are, but they don't find out any of the values that are the core of African communities. They just find out pictures and encyclopedia stuff and what they can download, but in none of those do they talk about why this is done or why it's meaningful or how it makes it connect. You just get, oh, that's I'm gonna word that click.
Also, my generation, not only did I try to embrace, what I thought was African, my own African peers did not accept us. It was more of, no, you're gonna stay, you're black. So you stay right there. We're gonna hold on to this because we're here. We're trying to identify with something too. So that's the problem, globally. We really need to actually, get together and say, okay, we not only do we look alike, but we share these values, and they came from somewhere, and we're not basically doing the same thing the system did to us. Is not the answer. My career choice, passion, so to speak, is one of a mortician. So I tend to think in terms of death and the afterlife, as it relates to everything. So my whole process is about healing the broken and the wounded and stopping oppression. So on every level. So when it comes to violence or what have you, what in violence speaks to the fear of death as to why we are not proactively reversing the issues that we spoke on today. And not only as a local community, but also globally. And then globally, what have we done to embrace death and dying enough to critically demand a new way of life while functioning in our passions? And we can all teach self-defense and everything. I mean, I can show all of you where your common carotid is and your jugular vein so you can stop that person who's coming at you. However, when we teach that type of function, we get more of it. We're gonna, hey, I'm tough now, so basically, before I ask you why you're coming at me, you can be coming for a hug. But before I ask you, I might just grab you and jack you up because now I'm trained to fight as opposed to what do you need from me and how can I help you, And if we're truly gonna be Christian martyrs, we need to ask ourselves, what are we martyrs of if we're truly scared of death? So that's, my take on it.
Can I comment? I think two comments real quick. One of them is I think people, particular people from Africa being out, my mother was narrating, but my mother's father. But and then being here, growing up my whole life here, I kind of have a little of both perspectives: the Black American, quote unquote, Negro, and the African. And so, seeing those two perspectives and comparing and contrasting them, one thing I noticed is that people, particularly African people directly from Africa, can tell the difference between someone's behavior and someone's knowledge of self and identity. You may act like this, but people can tell if you're actually that in here and in here, if that is a part of you, or if that is an act or behavior similar to people can be religious and people can be spiritual.
Amen.
Yeah. And they can look alike and sit next to each other, right? But there is a difference. Now, you just say this comment. And this is a very, very, very controversial comment. There seems to be two distinctly different groups, even in the, okay, let's leave for a second, let's leave Africans directly from Africa who came over, their immediate families African, let's leave them out for a second. In the quote-unquote Black community, there seems to be two distinctly different groups that are not defined by whether I have more education than you or not, whether I make more money than you or not, whether I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth or not. There seem to be two distinctly different mindsets. Those who are one mindset get it, and we hear what everybody's saying here today. Those who are the other mindset don't hear a word that you are saying. So I almost want to go into genetics, which is not a field I know much about. But there apparently are two different mindsets. Now, I'll say this. When I grew up in Atlanta, I worked on a tactical team in the housing projects for a number of years. Okay, high risk. 4 of us patrolling dangerous properties on a 10-hour graveyard shift at night, chasing people, going in abandoned units, pulling people out, trying to stick us with needles, all kinds of stuff. Okay, I did that for a number of years ago. And what I noticed was when I would ride with some of the people I was riding with, some of the police officers, they would say, well, Anthony, that's just been played over there. Don't go jump on them. That's just been played over. And I'm thinking, I'm from 5 miles from where you grew up. But I was perceived differently. So I echo what you're saying, sir, that there is something that is within. It is not the behavior of just how one dresses, or if one can talk like this. It is not just that behavior, or that kind of, it is not just the act. It's that those who are of what is real can spot those who are in the behavior, but not in the identity. That's what.
Again, want to thank all of our presenters. Yes.
Just one concluding remark. The fact of the matter is that we still live in a culture which holds and teaches the devaluation of Africa.
Yes.
And we're all taught the same. Fortunately, some have been liberated from that or oppressive ideology of which comes out of a context of white supremacy ideology. But because we have been educated and socialized in that vein, some are still there. But the best that we could do is to do that slow process of re-educating folks and re-socializing people to a different understanding of what it means to be black, or what it means to be African, or what it means to be African American. That would enable us to discard those negative color symbolism that we've all been raised on. So, I mean, we have a continuous challenge, and that is to continue the struggle of being liberated from those pre-defined definitions of who we are as black people, Africans or Africans in diaspora. So, I mean, the challenge is still there. It's to continue a battle, continue the struggle for liberation that we've got to be involved in.
You have to do it the same way as you give a 3-year-old coffee, has to pour it out of a different jar with a different label so they don't think they're getting the same thing. Again, thank everyone for your participation. I'm not sure if we're going to take a short recess or not, if we want to start right into the next session. That's up to you. I want to thank, again, everyone for your participation, your comments, questions. This was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you.